You know, they run on vinyl jams. These are probably Patriot windows. They look exactly like what I have. Okay. Pretty much a standard. Maybe I clip. That's for cleaning. So far, so good.
So it's
just a single hung.
See,
only the bottoms though.
our windows are double. There's two panes.
The upper part comes down too, right?
Yeah.
So they've kind of gotten away from the double hung. That's an option. Now what we had, you know, or what I know of, is sometimes the window will actually leak a little bit of water right out here, right out through the plastic and glass. And something to look and monitor. And you know, it was a new house, so the window guy came and just fixed it, which was great. But so far I haven't seen any kind of stains or anything like that. I won't get to every outlet, but we'll get a good consensus. How well are they? All packed in there.
Oh, it's a little crack there.
Yeah, a little drywall nail pop.
Yeah, we have those in our house.
Yeah, I know. That's why we moved.
See, there's a truss right there.
Yeah, it sells.
Yeah. The rule is you're supposed to stay 8 inches away from the corner. Now this means a little, you know, a little sag in the house. This is minor cosmetic cracking.
Yeah.
Shrinkage of the home, more so than settling. Now, before I go to the attic, I like to kind of spy around to see if anything has leaked in the past. Somebody gets some elderly person here, huh?
I think they're
No,
doing some
she does,
massage. Not me, is the seller.
Yeah.
Jitsu.
Yeah, some sort of therapy here.
I see. The
I
massager on the neck.
might ask her to leave it for me.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's all. They have lots of kids stuff.
Yeah, well, just the cross.
Now it's real hot up here.
Yeah.
Now the roof has a ridge vent, okay, but the roofer never cut the tar paper back out of the ridge vent after the roof was finished. See this? You're supposed to come back in here with a razor knife and cut that paper back.
That right there.
Yeah, see the black paper?
Yeah, tar paper there.
If you have to cut that out after the ridge vent is installed.
Huh.
See, the deck gets all papered over, then the shingles come up to the ridge, then you install the ridge vent, and then you come back here and with a razor knife you cut this out to let the air out.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So it was never done, so it's hot up there. And heat in the attic is not good for your cooling, it's not good for your roofing, it's not good for your framing, it's not good for the plywood. So they put a ridge vent in, but it doesn't work because they didn't finish the job.
Yeah, there's construction
Right.
people.
Well, most likely they bought it new and thought everything was perfect. Now up in the main attic, hopefully it was cut out. And we should see little pieces of paper laying around in the insulation. Now this is all insulated over this little family room back here. Okay. And the framing looks good. And there's no broken trusses or anything, no birds, squirrels, you know. But we got one little issue up there. Now this drywall all maintains a fire. If you had a fire in your garage, it would stay in here for an hour before it spread into the house. So it's important to keep the hatch cover on. And there's a reason why the door is metal. And you know, at this point, all the drywall looks continuous. It's not damaged or opened up for utility or a car hitting it and that kind of thing. So all the fume and fire protections are here, adequate. dry up like a bone if you get it kind of straight. So the builder put in a nice little cricket here to divert water around this big chimney on the back here, but you can tell that you've got at least this much roof hits the cricket and goes right against that wall right there.
Yeah. So should there be a
Scupper box?
something? Yeah.
Ideally there would be.
Yeah.
This is going to be a very difficult place to see behind that siding right there. But I would have to say of the whole design, this is probably your hot spot. Right across the roof right here, a roofer could put a diversion plate. It slips under the shingle, and for the most part, all of this gets diverted away.
Yeah.
And it's only going to be about a 2-foot kick-out flashing. Then you're only dealing with the natural rain right here. We're not adding a lot of excessive water to this.
Right.
This shingle is a typical 20-year life expectancy. So we're 6 years in. It feels very pliable still. The coursing's running straight. The edging is good. Where there's a small plumbing vent over here sticking out through the roof, it does need a little sealant around it. The rubber collar is drying out. Some of this paint has faded, but it's not rusting on the top, the black. Okay? One little spot of rust. Roof surface. This is a standard size guttering. It should handle that much roof right there. But I'm certainly evaluating the size of the roofing, given how many downspouts and so forth. Okay. Let's just go right back in the nice yard. There's.
So
There
here
it goes.
is
See?
okay.
What's
Yeah.
happening is about 80% of that water is trickling right back
Yeah.
down and in and
Yeah.
around into the
It's
foundation.
it's going right down next to the,
There's perforated drain tile around this house, okay, at the base of the walls.
Yeah.
Okay. And it has a pipe in there to collect that water and focus it to the sump pump. So this would be somewhat conducive to creating a more humid environment in the basement. If we keep the floor saturated, it can wick up through concrete and through the masonry, okay?
right.
Now, most likely the system is maintaining a dry surface, but we're working a lot of water, okay?
Yeah. I was in the basement. There's no indication of
Right,
any moisture.
it's probably dry as
It's
a bone.
dry,
Maybe
yeah.
there's a little white stuff on the wall. Is it unfinished down there or all finished?
It's unfinished.
It's unfinished
That's
with
good
insulation.
for us today.
Yeah, right.
This
You
is a
can-
testament of the system, how well it works,
Right.
okay? But we add a 20-inch rainstorm to the equation.
Mhm,
The power goes off 3 days, and
Yep.
you're already saturated,
Yep.
okay?
You're maxed out, and
Right.
then it matters.
So that, maybe the grading was good initially, but things have kind of sunken in 3 or 4 inches.
Mm-hmm.
Just get an elbow, kind of tie it into the same pipe here, and kind of run that pipe off 10 feet over this little berm right here, and you're free to go. That water's away from your house.
So that would be underground.
You
right?
could put it underground. In
Yeah.
the short term, you could lay it on the ground. You know what I mean? Until
Yeah.
it blows away or something. But yeah, ideally you would dig a little trench here. And,
Right.
now, obviously, it's part of an older house right over here or something. But you've got some established trees.
Yes.
And it's a nice little end. You won't have any cross traffic here. This is
Right.
good. This is good.
That's one of the
Okay.
that's one of the appeals.
Now it's a wood frame house. Is it 9-foot ceilings in there or 8-foot ceilings? I think they're about 8-foot ceilings in there.
I think they're normal 8-foot ceilings.
Right.
Yeah.
Now it's going to be a 2x4 framed house. It is on a poured concrete foundation wall, which is the most waterproof type of wall, over brick or cinder block. Okay. And I've looked up under the deck. There's no deck deficiencies structurally, but the surface needs a good cleaning and treatment. I haven't walked up on the deck yet, but I get a sense maybe you need to pop in a few nails that are popping out and try to keep it relatively smooth until you start getting splinters and it's not barefoot safe. Okay.
Right.
Now we have a vinyl siding on there and very low maintenance material, and I'm going to be climbing on this roof here shortly. Okay. Go up on the lower one and we're just going to look to see if there's any hail damage, wind damage, any significant buckling or sagging to the framing, and we'll check to see if the gutters are clogged. Okay. Now, as far as the windows, they're all modern insulated glass windows. Only the bottoms are going to open on this style of window. How old is your townhome?
It's about 15 years.
15. So maybe you might have double hung, or you might have
They
single.
open this way.
Okay. They're sliders.
Sliders.
Right. It's hard to tell on the outside if we have any fogged glass, you know, some moisture entrapped in the sash. But we'll get in there and get a good relative consensus of how well they operate, mechanics and so forth, okay? Do y'all have any young children or anything
No,
like that?
no. That's why we
The deck
wanted.
has all the modern safety things for kids. Keep them on that deck if friends come over. Now the fireplace, it's a wood burner, right?
Yes, it is.
And it's got a fresh air vent, brings in some air to burn. And then we've got a metal B vent up that big chase, right? And then the top is going to be a metal roof cap. And I get a sense maybe it may be starting to rust. And eventually it might rust down the chimney. But I'll be looking at the top there, okay? A couple of PVC plumbing vents coming up. Again, this is a pretty tried and true frame style of house. You come in the middle and the framing, it's a simple layout house, and the roof is relatively simple, up and over. And you know, as the house gets bigger and grander, it's more complicated and more prone to leak, you know, and more maintenance and so forth. This house is pretty low maintenance if you think about it. Everything's wrapped in vinyl and metal. Got a little deck maintenance to do. The back wall looks muddy. It was originally painted by the builder, but it's kind of flaking now. It could be repainted if you care. Okay? Not much will grow under the deck. A lot of folks will throw pea stone gravel under there and things like that. Okay? These pipes are part of the furnace. We have gas furnace in this house. Do you live with gas now or a heat pump?
Nope. It's heat pump.
So you'll love this heat, right? Because you actually feel warm coming out of
Yeah,
it.
the heat pump
Okay?
doesn't do
Apparently your sewage line is running out the back here, okay? Down to the street, or at least around this way, okay? So that's just the clean out pipe. If this pipe were ever to get clogged or something, the plumber would get in there. And the earth is settled around it because again it was dug up, and you might throw a little dirt in around there, okay? For the most part, the grades back here are sloping away. Now there's a clear line, the gutter overflows from time to time. See the washout line? And you were asking me, is this enough guttering? Well, this whole back roof only has one downspout.
Oh, so that's.
See there?
Yeah.
And the end cap has been leaking.
Oh.
Yeah, you can see where it's
Right
dripping
now,
down.
so when the gutter's clean, you typically take a sealant on the inside of the gutter, right at the cap, and you seal that joint. Okay, so it's clear, it's clogging up, filling up, dripping out the edge, staining there. And again, it may be sagged here in the middle. So when it does fill up, it overflows right here. And goes down and gets into that sump pump and goes like this. Okay?
Comes back out again.
Right. Now,
So-
some water is being dumped into that crawl space, into that sump pump from the air conditioner. Okay, because that's been running out here. So far, all the screens are in place. We're gonna again test the doors, windows, lights, that kind of thing. Black block is settled in. Ideally, it should have been like this. I assume that the grading has dropped down about 2 inches, so things are kind of getting negative now. I would say attention to the guttering would be first, and then maybe we work on some of this guttering as you work the yard a little bit, right? Okay.
So, if this was
Oversized.
this was bigger, right?
Right.
It should be. This actually.
This system will work if you'll keep it clean every year,
Yeah.
except during the heaviest of downpours.
then
Okay,
this
so
is not gonna-
occasional overflow, okay.
Yeah.
But we could lessen a lot of chances of clogging, particularly right there at those elbows. I just cleaned mine out today. Okay. So they end up having to squeeze all this stuff together to slip it in it. So an oversized downspout would lessen. We've got a fair amount of trees right over there. There's going to be some gutter cleaning. Now, if you care to have a fence, at least half of it's going to be done.
Looks like
right?
they're putting it in. Yeah.
Right.
They're gonna put on.
You would hope they got a survey.
I would. Yeah, we're thinking of getting one.
And if it's on your land a little bit, all you have to do is stand on that side of the fence within a 2-year period and say, "This is my land," and you'll have less grass to cut. But, I mean, and you got a little wire back there. But right now, you don't really have any fencing to deal with, or keep any kind of pets or anything in there.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Now the house faces west, so the north side of the house has got this little bit of mildew look, okay? And again, I think the siding ideally could be cleaned on this side. If you just spray some bleach on it, it will clean it, okay?
Oh, so this
There's
is.
no major buckling of this siding. This is good. And see how the material moves back and forth, and that's important because you've probably seen buckled siding in Colombia at some point. Now the grading sinking again has caused the condenser to be slightly out of kilter, and ideally it should be kept level because that fan motor will wear itself out prematurely. And you can carefully move this, okay? Watch this. See? And you just got a pry bar under there and slip in a half a brick or something, okay? So if you're gentle with it, you can move it. Now that's 4 tons of cooling. That equates out to about 2,000 square feet of living space, not including the basement. Just about the size I have. Okay. Now it's a Goodman brand. It's going to be a contractor grade air conditioner. But we should expect a 12 to 15 year life expectancy. Not a heat pump. It's not running half the year. Okay. But what it's actually doing is sucking heat out of the house, and the only thing the temperature can do is go down, right? We do feel some warmth of the house. And we're going to check the other end of it, okay? And you can figure out what kind of differential we're getting out of it. It's out of the shade for the most part, where it's supposed to be. So a little leveling of it, ideally. Okay? Gas heat, and again, some smelling gas here. Got a hose over here. Hopefully there's one near the it's on, I believe. See what kind of pressure we got. If you're out. Pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good. So that'll help cleaning the siding off.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have to drag 80 feet of hose around. Now there was a dish up on the house. Do you all use dish TV?
No,
or
we don't.
anything?
No, we don't.
Comcast.
What typically is going to happen is that dish is going to be left on the roof.
Yeah, they're gonna leave it, they already told us.
Because that's what the people say to do.
Yeah.
So I need to get in that attic where those bolts came through and make sure
Yeah.
that thing hadn't been leaking.
Right.
It was a fairly simple roof with 2 pipes
Now they
sticking
have
out of
holes
it.
in
And now we got them out of it. Yeah. There's been some minor little cracking in the foundation. Nothing structurally threatening. Very common. Go over and look at this house. Concrete shrinks as it sets up. They're called shrinkage cracks.
Where are those?
See this
right
one
here?
right here,
Yeah.
right out of the window
Yeah,
opening,
I see it right here.
See this
Yeah.
little crack?
Oh,
right
yeah,
down
this
there?
little-
Myself. Another one around this window, I think.
Oh, yeah, there's a...
Differentially will move and the crack will get bigger at the top, right? Like the corner will want to bend away. So pretty critical to get these extension pipes on all the downspouts and screw it on the end. They only cost $3 a piece. Correct. And that'll go along with. If you get the corrugated type, don't get the kind with a bunch of holes in it.
That just spreads it right there. We want to get it completely away.
The same pipe is sold with slits or not. The slitted stuff goes in the ground. This wire is coming down. They brought it into the basement and then they took it off somewhere. So we got cable. You can see the wires coming down.
Oh, yeah.
It's all pretty good. Electric coming in underground. This is probably, well, this is just some spare wire.
Spare wire.
Right? Now your phone's coming in. And there's a Verizon box and the cable's right there, but it doesn't look like they've ever had cable here.
I don't think they have. I think we asked and they just said
You're going to go to Comcast,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
Right. So they'll
have to
hook
come
you
in.
up to here, and then they'll these wires will hook into all your jacks. So they may do a little trenching to get it in here.
Yeah.
Unless it's here and it just hasn't been hooked up. This could coming out of the ground, so it might be in the house. Let's just see. That might be loose right near the electric panel. Okay.
Okay.
That's a big modern size cable. That's 200 amps. That's the going rate of power.
Oh,
Okay.
good.
And we're a gas house, so we're not using a lot of power initially, like a electric home or a heat pump.
Right.
We should have gas, hot water here too, or
Yes,
maybe
it is.
See, so heat, water, cooking,
Yeah. I think the stove's
maybe
electric.
electric. It's going to be plenty of power for what you need here, unless you need a welder and a hot tub and a pottering kiln and you need an extra oven and you're going to put in a basement. Okay.
That's a 200, I think. That's
Yeah,
good
200
enough.
to going rate.
Yeah,
And
going
with
rate.
gas, we're not
Yeah,
taxing
we're not
it.
draining, we're not pulling it
And I'll
off.
be opening the panel. We're going to look at all the particulars
Okay.
about it.
Okay.
Plenty of power. The lawn is established, other than having to struggle with cutting it. Not trying to feed it,
Yeah.
like a lot of places.
That's one change from the townhouse.
So we start to look at a little bit more painted surfaces here with these bigger window openings that have a wood trim. And you got to realize that this wood is not very rot resistant, modern wood. Good caulking and painting is going to go a long way of minimizing some decay. So you got some minor little flake and peel right down along that windowsill. Okay? And that'll stop any decay. Nothing's really set in or any kind of rot or decay, but you've got the column, the ceiling or soffit, the trim around the door. Okay? Little porch here. Stoop is stable. Walk is good. I would kind of pack some dirt along the edges so you can see the minor little crack there, but the runoff is going right over the edge and maybe kind of working underneath of it. The front door has a roof over it. It really shouldn't be a problematic leaker like most new doors. Okay, so this is a good little feature here. And again, we'll be testing the doors. It's a hot roof today.
Yeah.
So it's pretty packed up right here at the downspout. Just to give you an idea.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
This gutter will be relatively easy to get to.
Right.
This is surprisingly cleaner. Now right where I came up, there's one shingle that's gotten ripped.
Uh-huh.
Take this ladder. Now it's typically double layered right along the edge here. So the only thing really worrisome is that it would blow away. Okay,
Yeah.
see how it lifts up real easily? Now these gutters were, a lot of it's blown away, but there's quite a bit of like mud. Yeah, I'll take that next one. Why the pump is running.
Yeah, sure.
And it'll dry up like a bone if you get it kind of straight. So the builder put in a nice little cricket here to divert water around this big chimney on the back here, but you can tell that you've got at least this much roof hits the cricket and goes right against that wall right there.
Yeah. So, should there be a
Scupper box?
something? Yeah.
Ideally there would be.
Yeah.
This is going to be a very difficult place to see behind that siding right there. But I would have to say of the whole design, this is probably your hot spot. Right across the roof right here, a roofer could put a diversion plate. It slips under the shingle, and for the most part, all of this gets diverted away.
Yeah.
And it's only going to be about a 2-foot kick-out flashing. Then you're only dealing with the natural rain right here. We're not adding a lot of excessive water to this.
Right.
This shingle is a typical 20-year life expectancy. So we're 6 years in. It feels very pliable still. The coursing's running straight. The edging is good. Where there's a small plumbing vent over here sticking out through the roof, it does need a little sealant around it. The rubber collar is drying out. Some of this paint has faded, but it's not rusting on the top, the black. Okay? One little spot of rust.
Just the cross.
Now it's real hot up here.
Yeah.
Now the roof has a ridge vent, okay? But the roofer never cut the tar paper back out of the ridge vent after the roof was finished. See this? You're supposed to come back in here with a razor knife and cut that paper back.
Right there?
Yeah, see the black paper?
Yeah. It's hard paper there.
If you have to cut that out after the ridge vent is installed.
Huh.
See, the deck gets all papered over Then the shingles come up to the ridge. Then you install the ridge vent, and then you come back here and with a razor knife you cut this out to let the air out.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So it was never done, so it's hot up there. And heat in the attic is not good for your cooling, it's not good for your roofing, it's not good for your framing, it's not good for the plywood. So they put a ridge vent in, but it doesn't work because they didn't finish the job.
Yeah, there's construction
Right.
people.
Well, most likely they bought it new and thought everything was perfect. Now up in the main attic, hopefully it was cut out. And we should see little pieces of paper laying around in the insulation. Now this is all insulated over this little family room back here. Okay. And the framing looks good. And there's no broken trusses or anything, no birds, squirrels, you know. But we got one little issue up there. Now this drywall all maintains a fire. If you had a fire in your garage, it would stay in here for an hour before it spread into the house. So it's important to keep the hatch cover on. And there's a reason why the door is metal. And you know, at this point, all the drywall looks continuous. It's not damaged or opened up for utility or a car hitting it and that kind of thing. So all the fume and fire protections are here. Adequate. Alright. They run on vinyl jams. These are probably Patriot windows.